Welcome to Fade to Chat. Welcome back to Fade to Chat, the golden age of cinema. And I'm here with co-host Sydney Rotz, and we've got a movie that was kind of my choice last time. And it falls, we were hanging out in the 60s for such a long period of time that I wanted to get us back to the beginning of the whole studio system. And we went back to 1934, and we've done some movies from 34 and around that time already. But this one is the beginning of a remarkable series that was the detective series for a while. And I think it lasted 12 years, if I remember correctly, from the first Thin Man, which is the one that we're looking at, The Thin Man from 1934, to another 12 years. And I forget what the last one was in the series. But an extensive one. And these actors wanted to come back and continue to work together, which says a lot. The Thin Man, again, from 1934. It is directed by W.S. Van Dyke, who has had quite a history in turning... Oh, it might have been The Shadow of the Thin Man from 1941 was the last one. But that would not have been to that extent. So I think there's After the Thin Man. W.S. Van Dyke did a lot of the Thin Man series. He also was director of It's a Wonderful Life, that most people will remember. But he started his career just at the, in 1917 was one of his first directorial debuts, and he did Men of the Desert. He did Lady of the Dugout, which I bet was a baseball film. Not a canoe film.
Sounds like it.
And just some fun stuff that he got. The Miracle Makers, just some good stuff. But the really first great hit he got was The Thin Man, and that was 1934. Has an extensive history of a directorial work. Manhattan Melodrama, The Thin Man, Broadway Melody of 1936, After the Thin Man. So folks really liked Andy Hardy Gets Spring Fever. Oh yeah, there's a classic. So yeah, he did up until really from a directorial standpoint, he worked through 1942. So since this was my pick, why don't we start with you, Cindy? What did you think of the film?
Well, the first thing I'll say is I made the mistake of watching it the first time on an airplane. That was a mistake. I had gotten up very early in the morning to catch a flight, and I had my AirPods on, and I had it loaded up on the iPad, and I was all set to watch it. And I realized I must have dozed off a couple of times. Because at one point, I thought, I don't even know what's happening here. And I watched it back 2 more times after that and realized I had missed some very important parts of the movie. So don't try to watch it on an airplane. That's the first thing. But then I remembered you said, don't worry about figuring it all out. It's very complicated. It's very, it just keeps switching. You think this person did it, this person did it. It's like, just don't even bother trying to figure it out. Just wait to the end and it'll all make sense, which it did. So I took your advice and just tried to relax and enjoy the movie and just wait to the end and get it all figured out. I will say I struggled with a couple things, and I've mentioned this before. First of all, the quality of the film for me was not great. It was very grainy in parts. I watched it on Prime Video, but it was not a good quality to watch. There are like little things flying through the screen, and
Right.
it was grainy. That was a little distracting. Um, and the other thing was that fast talking. In what year was this? 1934?
34.
Yeah, it wasn't as bad as some that we've watched, like It Happened One Night, but there were parts of it. I didn't care for that style of dialogue.
Yeah.
And yeah, but that was okay. I loved Myrna Loy and William Powell together. I think they were a great combination in this
Yeah.
film. They were very genuine and very easygoing together, and their banter back and forth I thought was very natural. And the other thing I noticed, because we've seen Myrna Loy before in uh, Mr. Blandings Builds His Dream House,
Dream House. Yeah.
I yeah, I thought her voice sounded different in this film. And I went back and kind of did a little research on that, and they said part of it was the time period because the Mr. Buildings builds his
Mr. Blandings
Blandings. It's
builds his.
Mr. Blandings, sorry,
Yeah.
Cary Grant. Mr. Blandings builds his dream house. She was much older in that movie. That was 1948. So maybe it was just a maturity type of thing, but also it wasn't that fast paced kind of talking. She didn't sound like herself to me in parts of this film.
Yeah. I think it was at that time female actresses like, let's talk about the snappy flapper that's here, and and
Yeah, I don't
that
like
kind
that.
of gunfight dialogue that goes
Mm-hmm.
on back and
Mm-hmm.
forth
Mm-hmm.
was typical of films like this, typical of really, if I want to see your head explode, I'd make you watch His Girl Friday, which is the Howard Hawks version of the
Yeah,
front
that's
page.
Cary Grant, though.
Yes, but it's Howard Hawks, and Howard
I
Hawks
know.
is known for fast dialogue.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, yeah, and you'd get a different Myrna Loy in just
Mm-hmm.
'cause generationally and because of the way women were portrayed. And
Mm-hmm.
I think in the 30s, you're looking at a situation culturally where people are going to the movies for escapism. And they don't, was it in this movie they said, let the hoi polloi in? Those were the commoners.
Mm-mm.
And
Mm-mm.
something I was watching mentioned hoi polloi, and
I don't think so.
those were sort of the commoner class.
Mm.
And the idea was people went to movies for escapism in the 30s, and so they wanted
Mm-hmm.
to see people of wealth and what their life was like, and they particularly liked the foibles that people of wealth fell into. And this
Mm.
is a film like this. So, any more reactions?
Overall, I would say I really did enjoy it.
Yeah,
Like I said, the first time I watched it, I struggled, but I think that was my mistake trying to watch it on an airplane. There's just too much distraction and too much going on, and I couldn't really focus and concentrate. But yeah, I did enjoy the movie. And again, the combination of the two of them, I think, is excellent.
yeah. And there's a lot to be said in the background of how much they enjoyed working
Hmm.
with each other. How much, in this case, the director saw this kind of patter going on between them and did not discourage it, just kind of
Right,
actually used it. One of my
right.
favorite scenes is when the lawyer takes a phone call and they're standing in the background while he's taking the phone call,
Hmm.
and they're
Hmm.
basically pantomiming, why I
Yeah,
oughta. And it
yeah,
goes back and forth, but it's just playfulness that they have as a
yeah,
couple.
yeah.
In fact, I don't know when I'm going to, but it'll come in the next couple of days or so. I'll do a one scene from couch to the camera or camera to the couch.
Hmm.
And I'm going to talk about the relationship in there
Yeah.
and how people saw this relationship and how it's depicted between Myrna Loy and William Powell. But I I saw this film many times. I've tried to start it, and have it go in the background, thinking that's something I don't have to pay attention to. And that was my fault. And because of that, I thought, it's an interesting movie. Okay. It's definitely has its series. Oh, I love William Powell and Myrna Loy. But
Yeah.
the plot seemed incidental to me. And this is based on a DashiellHammett book. And I thought, so this time I actually sat down and watched it and tried to follow the plot. And I realized, yes, there are a lot of characters introduced quickly, and you have to try and figure out the relationships. But the plot makes sense. I'll have to tell you, I was a little disappointed in the reveal because I saw it coming on too early. And even though maybe I saw the film and I saw it sometime where the actor at the end was revealed as who was the person who did all the murders, and I lodged that in my brain somewhere, but I walked into this time not knowing, but it was quickly became apparent to me who the character was that was responsible for all of this, just based on some of the behaviors and some of the exceptions.
Well, you're
But I
very
did
good
get
at
to
that.
I did get to watch the plot and fully, whereas you didn't have that advantage on the airplane, and you got to sit down and pay attention to it. So
Yeah.
I appreciated it. I then my appreciation for this movie went up, even though I thought it was kind of a good classic film. Once I was able to follow along with the plot line and the characters and have all those questions that you had, well, they have reason to do it, and they have reason to do it.
Yeah.
I don't want to make
Yeah.
this a
I
spoiler.
kept changing my mind.
Yeah,
I kept changing my mind throughout the movie. And then I
yeah.
thought, nope, just don't even don't even think about that. Just let it go. Yeah.
This movie was shot in 12 days.
It's amazing.
They used to crank them out pretty quick, but even at that time, 12 days is really amazing. And that's why you see, like, W.S. Van Dyke did, I think, 3 movies in 1934 alone, directed them. So they were kind of starting this mill of films during this time. But 12 days is pretty incredible for them to get all of this shot and done.
Didn't that have something to do with Myrna Loy?
I don't know
I thought there
that
was
she,
something about she had to be, and she was promised for another film or something coming up. And they
yeah.
said, well, if you can get it done in 3 weeks, you can have her. But they got it done in 2. I read that somewhere.
There's so much cultural stuff in this film that's pretty
Yes.
amazing. Myrna Loy makes a joke and says that she's sitting in bed with William Powell, and the detectives are saying, "Well, and the detectives find a gun which they've hidden to get out of the way, and the detectives say." Oh, don't you know this is a violation of the Sullivan Act? And she says, "Oh no, it's okay. We're married."
Or
And
Mary.
she's referring to the Mann Act, but this movie made me laugh out loud in some of the stuff some of the dialogue that they had.
Yeah, I looked that one up because I wasn't sure what she was referring to.
Yeah,
Sullivan Act. And then in that same scene, she said, "What's that man doing in my drawers?"
yeah.
And
William
and
Powell does a double take.
yeah, he choked. He choked on whatever he was drinking at that time in the middle of the night. Good Lord, there was a lot of drinking in this movie.
Yeah, I have to tell you, I did go down a rabbit hole. Do you know what he
Okay.
was drinking?
Yes,
Okay,
I
tell me.
do. Okay, hold on. I've got to find it here. because I went down that same thing. Unless I'm wrong about this.
You
It
notice the shape.
was,
This is when they're in their
it
bedroom.
was
They
a
have a bar at the
scotch.
side. It's
Oh, they had a
it's
bar everywhere.
yeah. Well, that's true.
They had a bar in
Um,
their bedroom. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking
yeah,
for it. No,
it
I
was
just lost
Scotch.
it. It
Yeah,
was scotch. It was
pinch.
pinch. Yes,
Yeah,
pinch scotch. I have it. You
and
go ahead. I'm going to look for it.
it was a distinguishable shaped bottle. When I
Mm-hmm.
saw it, I don't think I wouldn't call myself a Scotch connoisseur, but there was a time I dated someone who really liked Scotch. So I learned
Mm.
more about Scotch than a 21-year-old boy should know. That's a whole different story. There was that Myrna Loy, William Powell age difference between me and this woman, and I learned a lot about Scotch. But I did notice the pinch bottle, which my
Yeah.
recollection at that time was that it was a dark bottle, and of course it had Scotch in it, which was a dark colored liquid. In this film, it's a clear bottle, and I don't think I've ever seen pinch in a clear bottle. And it's clear liquid, which makes me think they just had water in it, because
Mm-hmm.
people would not be pursuing, in black and white
No,
how colorful this Scotch was or wasn't. But
no.
yeah, the pinch bottle gave it away to me, and I did a search and found out.
Oh, here it is. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hag Dimple Pinch blended Scotch whiskey.
yeah.
Yeah, I did read that. Yeah, I
So
went
that's
down
the
that for a bit.
yeah. So for people who are going to watch this film or are going to watch it again, pay attention to the bottle in the bedroom scene,
Yeah.
and you'll see that it's a uniquely shaped bottle, and that's where I thought I recognized it, and then went to try and confirm it was what they were using.
It was a 15-year-old blended Scotch whiskey. They also used it in the movie Breaking Bad.
Oh,
So,
I think that Pinch was fine. It was I think it was British distillery, but I think it was more the shape of the
hmm
bottle that got people attracted to it. Because it
right.
looks, for users who are not going to watch this, but imagine a soccer ball and imagine that it's partially deflated and you've pushed it in
hmm
on three sides so
hmm
you can
hmm
grab the exterior of this by the deflated soccer ball. That's what a pinch
Yeah.
bottle looks like. And I think it's just ironic that the brand is called Pinch, and that what you literally do is pinch to pick up the bottle and pour it.
hmm That actually was one of my quotes in the movie when they were having their party and they were drinking
Yeah.
everything under the sun. There was a reporter that came in and asked Nora if Nick was working on a case. And she
Yeah.
said, yes, case of scotch.
Why
Pitch in
don't you
and
go
help.
help them?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
working on a case of scotch.
There are some really watching this film, watch the relationship and watch the comments. Myrna Loy gets, like, I think most of the best lines in the film. She gets the
hmm
punchlines, whereas William
Yeah,
Powell is doing the setup through the whole thing.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
The director generally did first takes, because
hmm
Van Dyke felt that if they did multiple takes, that the actors would lose their energy and kind of lose the naturalness of it. So, sometimes they would skip over cover shots that he liked the first take, and then that meant Powell and Loy had to learn new lines and blocking on the spot. So they were champions in terms of this film. Other things that you might want to talk about?
Well, I loved it when Myrna Loy first came into the scene, carrying all those Christmas presents. She had them all stacked up in her
Yeah.
arm, and the dog is like leading her, chasing into the where are they at? A bar? Because he was there
They're at
mixing all
some
the drinks.
they're at some nightclub, I think.
Okay. And she trips and falls, and, presents go everywhere. And of course, the dog just goes right ahead of her and goes on over to William Powell. And they said that she did that stunt herself, that was not a stunt double.
It would be hard to do that shot with a stunt double unless you, because it was a full body shot and a full body fall. And it's
Right,
definitely
right.
Myrna Loy when that happens. And when she fell, I was a little, I don't want to say shocked, but I was like, wow, she did that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's pretty remarkable in terms of what she has did with that film. Yeah, I did find the piece here where the studio said that, and this was Louis B. Mayer, said that basically she agreed, allowed her to do this film, but but she had to be free within 3 weeks to start
Mm-hmm.
Stambul Quest, another
Don't know that.
1934 film. I just that's a forgettable film for me. I
Don't know that
never
one.
heard of it.
Mm-mm.
The age difference thing was of concern, but people thought that Powell was too old to play Nick Charles. Powell was 42, Loy was 29, but this was really close to the ages that DashiellHammett wrote them in the book. So although it might have appeared different or strange, it really was a little more true to the age difference in the book, and that adds a little bit of the dynamic in to it, and it can raise all sorts of questions about how did this relationship form. Nick Charles was a detective. How did he manage to meet Myrna Loy's character, Nora, and under what circumstances were they able to form this relationship in a society that might look at it as being a real age differential thing? Porter Hall. Let's talk about Porter Hall. Macaulay, the lawyer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Third film we've seen him in.
Okay. Yeah.
It's weird how he comes up in the films that we've covered, from Miracle on 34th Street to what was the other film?
When you said 3, I thought right away I remembered Miracle on 34th Street.
So yeah, he was in 3 films. This would be the third film that we saw him in. This was his earliest film, The Thin Man. Then he had a part in Double Indemnity that was a small part of Mr. Jackson, who comes in and reports some news that is conflictual or raises questions with the main insurance reviewer in there. And then he was in Miracle on 34th Street, where he played the psychiatrist. But let me tell you, he was in a lot of things that we have yet to watch together that are just great films. The Petrified Forest, True Confessions, Dangerous to Know,
Are
Mr.
they all in our
Smith
time
Goes to
frame?
Washington. Mr.
Oh,
Smith
yeah.
Goes to
Yeah.
Washington. His Girl Friday.
He's in that too?
Yeah, he's
Wow.
in that too. He plays Murphy in that film.
And I know I've
Sullivan's
seen that film. It's been
Sullivan's
a while.
Travels, Stranger in Town, Miracle of Morgan's Creek, Double Indemnity, Going My Way. Just surprising. amount of films that he was in, good films that he was in. And in this one, of course, he plays a central role. He is the first victim's, well, no, not the first victim, but he is one of the victim's attorneys. And there's a spoiler right there, I guess, because once you figure out who he's the attorney of, then you realize that one of the characters is not coming back.
Right.
But
you're right. This movie, it's interesting. I'm sorry, Marty.
Go ahead.
It's
No,
interesting.
keep going.
I don't even think of this movie as really a murder mystery. It really is more about the relationship between Myrna Loy and
William
yeah.
Powell.
Powell.
Yeah, it establishes that, and it's like the mystery is kind of who cares? I want to see this couple again. You know, and if there's a mystery in there, that's all.
And it's a Christmas movie too.
Yeah, it's a Christmas movie.
It's a Christmas movie.
There's a lot of drinking in this film.
There's a lot of drinking.
And I like the way they introduce characters from Nick's checkered past. Now, he apparently was a good detective because many of the people who showed up at his party he had some relationship with. And there were no hard feelings between the people he pinched and the people who from his history. But they also then kind of became informants or could become informants for him in terms of finding out. We have one character who breaks in for the bedroom scene who breaks into his house because he has it on good word that Nick Charles is a straight shooter. Will give him the truth and not mess around with him. And he got that from another criminal while he was doing time with him. And said, this is a guy that whatever you think of him he's a straight shooter. So he has an interesting reputation in the, I don't want to say underworld, but in with groups of thieves and rest, yeah.
I had quite a few favorite quotes, scenes. I'm sure you did as well.
Yeah.
There were so many. Probably my very favorite scene was the Christmas Day, the day after the guy broke into their house or came into their house with the gun. And he's lying on the couch with this little air gun, I guess.
It was like air gun, yeah.
Okay. And maybe you can explain this to me. Why are there balloons in a Christmas tree? Was that something they did during that time period?
I don't know. It was a plot device. And the night before, somebody had popped all those balloons. That was part of the scene. Oh, don't do that. And some guys, they're drunk popping the balloons.
Yeah. But I loved it. He's lying on the couch, just like a little boy. He put it between his legs and he popped a couple. And Myrna Loy sitting there in a fur coat that she bought for herself, which I love that too. And he said, "Aren't you hot?" And she said, "Well, I'm stifling, but this is too pretty not to wear." And she's watching him and kind of just like, "Okay, Nick, go ahead." And he's popping the balloons. And then the last time he rolls over on his stomach and he uses a mirror like to do the trick behind it, backward shot. And instead of hitting the balloon, he shatters the window. And she just doesn't even react. It's almost like mother and child. She just kind of like, "Oh, Nick, And then he pretends that he's asleep. He curls up in a little ball, again, very childlike, and wakes up like, "Oh, what happened?" Like, so innocent. That was my favorite scene.
There's some, in my opinion, there's some underlying meta communication going on there because he doesn't really have the money, she does. So when she says, "Who bought that for you?" Why you did, my love. And then he would say, "And who bought that for you?" And it's implied that he purchased it, but basically with her money. And it was
Her
something
money,
that she
yeah.
really wanted. Yeah, it does bring an interesting differential power dynamic where he's married into money of a younger woman who has fallen into that money through
Right.
inheritance. And he was able to retire, party, drink with her, and live the life of Riley based on the money that they were making. And that's why I said these kind of films during that time led people in. Now, most people at this time, the sort of zeitgeist was, let's show you all the foibles and problems that couples have because they married for money or they have money. And this was a film where you have a quite happily adjusted, playful, loving couple
Yeah.
in a situation where they have money to be able to do that. So yeah, the banter was that I liked was you were shot. He was only shot once. He knocked her out to get her out of the
Oh,
way. He
yeah.
punched her, and
Yeah.
it was like, what? And she gets knocked out, falls on the ground, so she's out of gunfire. He gets shot once. So Nick goes, well, I'm a hero. I was shot twice in the Tribune. And then Nora goes, I read that you were shot 5 times in the tabloids, which
Tabloids.
is kind of double entendre right there. And he goes,
Yeah,
it's not true.
exactly.
He didn't come anywhere near my tabloids.
Yeah.
It was just
Yeah.
that kind of humor. That was a laugh out loud for me. And I think I'm sure I had heard that because I remember that Christmas tree scene. But yeah,
And even that night, he's sound asleep in bed, and she says, Nick. And then she called him Nicky, which I thought was cute.
yeah,
Nicky, are you asleep? He said, well, yes. And she said, good. I want to talk to you. And I
yeah,
thought that is something that only a couple that gets along really well, would say, you know,
yeah,
good, you're asleep. I want to talk to you. And then she asked, what did she ask for a drink? And he's always drinking her drinks.
yeah.
He said, well, maybe a drink would help you get back to sleep. She said, well, maybe so. But then he gets up in the little bar in their bedroom and he pours himself a drink.
Well, he pours it for her, but she winds up going to answer the door to
Oh,
let the
that's
guy
true.
in. And
She
then
had
he
it on
leans
the
over while she's getting
table.
the door and he's supposedly asleep,
That's true.
drinks her drink and puts it back on
That's true.
the
Yeah.
dresser or the
But
side thing. Yeah.
he drank her drink of rye in the kitchen at the party.
Right.
He said, what are you
When
drinking?
yeah. And she says rye, and then he picks it up and
Rye.
he
He went,
goes,
yep.
drinks it. He goes,
Yeah.
yep, you're right.
Uh-huh.
And
Hmm.
she just kind of hits him. I mean, she kind of like moves her hand
Yeah.
over and slaps
Yeah.
him a little bit.
And that song that he sang, now where was that? The song that he sang was the same one he sang in My Man Godfrey.
Really?
Hmm. For tomorrow may bring sorrow, so tonight let us be gay.
You say,
He sang that in My Man Godfrey. Hmm.
wow. Yeah, so many fun pieces of dialogue in this movie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
This, to give it credit where credit is due, it was written based on DashiellHammett's book. It was written by Albert Hackett and Francis Goodrich. And Hackett actually was a writer and actor known for Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, The Thin Man from 1934, and Easter Parade, 1948. And he was actually married to his co-writer in this, Francis Goodrich, who was writer known for Seven Brides and Seven Brothers. A Wonderful Life. She was a writer for It's a Wonderful Life. Diary of Anne Frank.
Mm.
Um, the Long, Long Trailer. Have you ever seen The Long, Long Trailer?
Mm.
It was one of Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz's attempts
Oh.
to do a film. And the whole movie is
Mm.
about them getting an exceptionally long trailer to go on vacation out in California. And so, of course, they have to cross the Rockies, and it's insanity ensues because we're all wondering
Mm.
what's going on in the long, long trailer.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Father's Little Dividend in the good old summertime. She was involved in a lot in terms of writing.
Have you seen Father's Little Dividend?
No,
I don't
don't
think
make me
so.
watch it. You might,
No,
you,
I
you might.
won't.
Well, you can.
I
But
can. I like
be
that movie, but
be
yes.
prepared for
Spencer
the
Tracy.
pushback. Be
All right,
prepared
all
for the
right.
pushback on that one. In terms of, I get the next choice, so be careful.
Because of what? Spencer Tracy or Elizabeth Taylor or just
Yes.
general?
No, I
Yes,
like
okay.
Spencer Tracy. I'm
Okay.
he is almost, in my opinion, he's an actor that is very good, but
Mm.
he has some really exceptional roles, and there were also films that he was kind of used in that because he was Spencer Tracy. Like there's one that he did with Katharine Hepburn that was called The Desk Set, and it's the
Death
whole
set.
idea that a
Yep.
big
Mm-hmm.
computer is gonna take over the research section of a company, and
Yeah.
I kind of thought, no, no, that pairing was a little too. They had such an age difference that as he got older, it got weirder. Probably with the exception of Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, where
Mm-hmm.
they were paired together. We should do one of their movies at some point and think
Yeah.
about it
Yeah.
because that would be fun to do. This movie was reported to cost $226,000. We're talking 226. It came in with about 1.4 million worldwide, with quite a bit of profit. So people wanted to see these characters again.
Black and white again.
You Can Wait Again?
Black and white. I
Oh,
said
Black and
black and
White.
white. Black
Yeah.
and white.
Yeah, and we talked about this. Well, you talked about this, that the version that you had was not really very clear.
No, it was
I
not.
had a version that I rented or bought through Apple TV, and there are some things that you notice. You know what burn marks are? Those little things that come up in the
Yes.
film when
Yes.
it's time to change the reel. And so, like, about every
Mm-hmm.
20 minutes, you'd see a burn mark, and then you'd sit and watch.
Oh,
And then you get to the next scene where they would shift
right.
the scene, and you realize they've just changed reels. So, if you're watching this in a movie theater, the burn mark was in the upper right hand corner, and it would tell you there's going to be a
Hmm.
scene change because they can't
Hmm.
keep rolling. They're finished that point.
That's
And
interesting.
this film was about 20 minutes, which tells you the size of the reels that they were managing in theaters at that time. And
Pretty small.
you at this point nowadays, you don't see burn marks at all, but you'll see them in restored versions, or I should say unrestored versions of classic films as they come up. Yeah, I noticed that. 20 minutes in was, I think, the first, 19 minutes and 45
Hmm.
seconds was the first burn mark in the film. So,
So here's a question for you, and I think I know the answer, but the dog, Asta,
yeah,
whose real
right.
name was Skippy, was the last movie we saw him in The Awful Truth? And then we saw him in Bringing Up Baby. Am I right about that?
Yeah,
Those two.
Skippy was a very active artist. And if I remember correctly, did Skippy
I'm
have a
sure he was
double?
in Bringing Up Baby. And I thought he was in The Awful Truth.
Uh, the Thin Man, of course, all the Thin Man series. I
Right?
think he didn't make it to the last Thin Man. I think they had to get like
Oh,
a
another.
sired version.
Mm-hmm.
Bringing Up Baby,
Mm-hmm.
uh, big broadcast of 1936. Topper Takes a Trip. Yeah, I just see Asta in Thin Man movies. The Half Naked Truth. He's the dog in the butcher shop. It goes uncredited. Interesting stuff about him that I'm sure you read too was that he was kept away from the actors. I mean, he was
Mm-hmm.
such an adorable dog that actors would have ruined the relationship, and it actually made
Right.
it more difficult in terms to do takes. So he had his own place that the owner trainer would take him to keep him away from the actors between takes and to reinforce some of the stuff that he did, which was great in terms of animal training.
Okay, I'm just looking back. I'm I'm looking back through my notes. I'm
Okay.
gonna just try to see if I can find that while you're talking because I have it. I'm going back to The Awful Truth.
You're trying to find out who the dog was in The Awful Truth.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't appear to be in credits from
Maybe I'm
Skippy
remembering it
or
wrong.
Asta.
Okay. I might remembering it in a different movie. Oh well.
Yeah, they were playing fast and fancy with the Hayes Act in terms of what could be said and what couldn't be said with
Oh,
censors
very
in the
much.
film,
Very much so.
and that's what makes it fun. And
Mm-hmm.
you mentioned the tabloids line,
Mm-hmm.
but some regions cut that line because it was just a little bit too much. So a Southern owner complained to censors that it was all about on-screen drinking. So they were also concerned about the level of drinking that was people were experiencing in there. This was Skippy's second movie with Powell. His first was The Kennel Murder Case in
Hmm.
1933. And he went to appear in the first four Thin Man movies, because the fifth one, Skippy had skipped this mortal plane.
Oh. I read that he bit Myrna Loy in this movie at one point.
Really? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The whole Christmas tree BB gun, air gun scene occurred only because William Powell was goofing around with it
Mm-hmm.
during takes, and then Van Dyke said, "Oh, let's put that in," and they built the whole scene around him messing around with the gun in different
Yeah.
ways with it. So, any final words on this?
Well, I thought the ending of the movie with the train was very symbolic.
Okay. They don't show. Do they show the train going in a tunnel or no?
No, but
It's not that
the two
symbolic. It's not that
couples,
Hitchcock.
well, but yet, no, it's not quite Hitchcock, but Myrna Loy and William Powell, they go into their own room. And I loved it when she said, put Asta in the
Yeah.
compartment with me. And he said, oh no. And he takes the dog and throws it up into the upper berth. And then the very final scene, the little dog has his
The
paw
dog covering its eyes with its
covering
paw.
its
Yeah.
eyes. Yeah. And of course, the other couple, Nora, and she was back with her former beau.
Yeah.
And I guess they had just gotten married. And she quickly locked the door. It's like, well, I wish they had left sooner. I thought they would never leave. And so it was intimated there what was going to happen. But yeah, I thought here we are in a train again. And no, they didn't show a tunnel, but it was suggestive of the same thing.
Yeah, I mentioned off this recording that I was watching Women of the Year with Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy yesterday. And there is this, an interesting scene in there where they had gotten married, and for some reason people came over and decided to throw a party. They didn't know they were married. They just thought, we're going to go over to Katharine Hepburn's apartment and join and throw for a party. So then Spencer Tracy decides, well, I'm going to call up my friends. I think he's a sports writer in there, and invite them over. Since we're going to have a party, this is our wedding night, and people have decided to show up. So at the end of that scene, the word gets spread around that it's their wedding night, and everybody's embarrassed, and they kind of go past them while they're sitting on a bed or a couch together, and they're kind of doing their apologies with it. And the same sort of similar response to I wish they would have left sooner, because both couples say that. Nick and Nora says
they
that.
do.
I wish they would have said sooner. And the couple that just got married, they said, I thought they'd never leave. So
Yeah. And I thought the conversation was funny with the time change. They were going from the East Coast to the West Coast, and Nora had herself so mixed up about the time. She said, well, I set my watch ahead. And he's like, no, the sun rises in the east and the sun sets in the west. And they had that whole discussion. And of course, I thought that was fun because, I had just traveled from east to west. And you can get yourself all messed up like, okay, we're 3 hours ahead. Are we 3 hours behind? Trying to make a phone call, remembering what time you can call someone. Is it 3 hours earlier? Is it 3 hours later? And she had herself all mixed up about that. And he was trying to explain it to her. She thought she was right, which she was not.
Well, we all have our little weird eccentricities. I have more than this one, but I can do that math in my head like nothing. So I don't have that, what time zone I am and what's the time here, what's the time back home. It's like in my head. That's just one weird talent that does not service anybody except myself. That I know people have trouble with time zone shifts and trying to figure out what day it is. I've been on Zoom calls when everybody's trying to agree on the next meeting and when the next meeting is going to occur and what time that is and what time zone that is and what time would that be in the time zone that I'm in. So I get that from the train ride too.
Yeah. I will say that's one thing I appreciate about my Apple Watch and my phone. You arrive in wherever you're going and it's like, oh, it's the right time. It automatically.
Yeah, it does it automatically.
Automatically, as long as you're not in airplane mode, but yeah.
Yeah. But here's the thing that I've always found difficult with those travels is I'm in Colorado. I'm usually in the East Coast time, and somebody back in the East Coast time wants to schedule a meeting for me. Where do I put it on my calendar? Do I put it in as it is in Colorado? I can't put it in as I did. I have to do the conversion to put it in so it'll show up on my calendar when I go back to the East Coast on the right time that it was scheduled. But I have more than once screwed that up. So that's always been an issue for me. What do I put that in? in order for it to be right with that.
Right. So you and I are 1 hour apart?
No, we're in the same time zone.
We're in the same time zone?
Yeah, I'm East Coast.
Oh, you're east. Okay, I thought you were a little further central. Okay.
No, we're the
You're,
furthest west you can get in the East Coast. And
oh,
many
okay.
people have discussed splitting Ohio like they used to do with Indiana.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, we're we're
Okay.
we're a huge wide state, and because of that, not as wide as Pennsylvania,
Mm-hmm.
but because of that, people have always we're on the east, when the western side of the East Coast. So
Got it.
um, let's talk about the next movie we're going to do.
Wow, I'm excited about this because I just came back from Las Vegas on a vacation and I went to the Sphere for the second time and I saw The Wizard of Oz. And that's
So
what we're going to do.
we're going to do The Wizard of Oz, and it is
Mm-hmm.
from 1939.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a very busy year for big movies, and we'll talk about that when we get there. So, did you see the whole movie in the Sphere, or how was that done?
No, they actually cut. I have to look this up again because at the time I thought, ooh, this seems awfully. It was only 75 minutes long.
Okay.
So they cut, oh, I think maybe 20, 25
Yeah.
minutes, maybe even more than that. Um, I won't say what, I know now what they cut looking back.
Okay.
But it was
Did they
amazing.
did they do anything with holographic projection in the middle of the room, or was this just
Yes.
360?
Oh no, yes. There were things flying through the room
Yeah.
and there were all kinds of effects with your seats and yeah, it
Oh,
was, oh yeah.
pay no
And
attention
we
to
were
the man
sitting,
behind the eye.
yeah, yeah, and I won't give away some of the really best parts of it, but we were like in the 300 section, which is kind of not at the very
Mhm.
top and not at the bottom because you want like in the center as much as
Right.
you can. And we had excellent seats. And I, the whole time, I'm not real good with heights, so I struggled with being in a sphere to begin with. And the whole time I'm sitting in my chair, I feel like I'm falling out of it to begin with. So
Yeah.
it was, I'm like holding on to the chair to begin with. But no, it was fantastic. But the thing about it being, 360,
Yeah.
one of the things that they had to do was they had to add extra things beyond the scope of what you would have seen in
The,
the frame of the actual movie, which is interesting, and
okay.
we can talk about that more.
Yeah. This was directed by uh, three directors: Victor Fleming, George Cukor, and
Cooper.
Norman Taurog. Um, and stars, of course, Judy Garland, Frank Morgan as the wonderful Wizard of Oz, Ray Bolger, and a bunch of other great character actors that are part of this film.
Hmm.
Um, I have a remembrance of this from college because, and I mentioned this, I think, off show, that we thought we'd want to do this film at some point. And in college, we had
Hmm.
this thing called the final contest, which was a distraction for people taking their finals, and the radio station would do it and play
Mm.
clues throughout. And I was music director at that time, and at this station, it was kind of a college station, but it ran like a commercial station. So it was on campus, but it had its own finances, had its grand commercials. Everybody, it was a really good training ground for people who went into that field. And I had to put together the final contest, and the topic that we chose was the solution to the final contest was the Wizard of Oz. So we
Mm.
delved into a lot of the trivia. Now this is 40 some years ago for me. We delved into a lot of the trivia from the movie, and that's why I know 1939 has a lot of great stuff that came out that year, and this is one of those films. So I'm excited to go back and watch it. I really don't think I've watched it in a full sitting for 40 years. So I need to go back and see it and kind of re-explore that. So we'll be doing The Wizard of Oz in our next episode. The Wizard of Oz from 1939. And we'll give you sort of our opinions, our trivia, stuff that came out of the films, things that we reacted to, things that we ran out of the theater as a young child because it scared the hell out of us. There are stories in my family about that.
I was kind of dreading part of that. Yeah.
You know, the drunk munchkins, all sorts of things like that. The terrible
here's
behavior.
A question I'm sorry. Here's a question for you. I took pictures. Well, I took one picture in the sphere, not during the movie of it. But I took pictures of the sphere, the outer part, and they have, it changes, every couple seconds. But I have some of the witch. Both witches. I have the shoes coming out. Is that something I could send to you that we can use, or is that a no-no? It was photos that I took of the sphere. It's not.
Yeah, it would be something that we could use. In fact, what I'd probably use it for is our trailer. We have that graphic where we put a picture in. So I might put that in there.
Okay.
And then that people would have access to one of those easily to see that. I should make a double assignment, but I won't. But have you ever seen Under the Rainbow?
No. Never heard
Under the Rainbow came out in 1981. It's a farce comedy, and it is a visiting dignitary, a CIA agent, a Nazi spy, Japanese tourists, and assassins, and a group of midget actors from The Wizard of Oz all check into a Los Angeles hotel.
Oh, no.
And it is it's got Chevy Chase and Carrie Fisher in it, and also Eve Arden. And basically, if I remember this correctly, Chevy Chase and Carrie Fisher are the wranglers for the midgets because they're so out of control, or I should say little people. They're so out of control.
Say, Marty, you're going to get in trouble.
Yeah, that, about the stories that were about these. And I have to have some appreciation for that because that was, and still some ways still is, marginalized group. And back in those days, I would bet many of those folks maybe knew of each other, but they got a bunch of them together in one space, and it was like, we can kind of have our life in our world, and craziness ensues. Now, this movie I don't think, brings out any of the insanity that was part of the story, the background story of the little people in The Wizard of Oz, but it does allude to the fact that they had to have wranglers to keep them under control in a hotel. We need to pursue that story, that thread through this, and talk about the movie. Hell, everybody's seen the movie.
What year is this movie?
This movie, Under the Rainbow, is 1981. I wouldn't consider it necessarily an accurate depiction because I think it's a little easier on the little people than what actually occurred in the 1939 when they were filming that. But it will be fun to dig into that and see what truths or untruths we can find with this. So that's what we've got next time. We're going to take on a big one here, The Wizard of Oz from 1939. There are so many threads there. There's the Judy Garland thread. There's the multiple directors thread. There is the little people thread. There is the injuries that occurred as a result of costuming in this film. there's going to be a lot there. And we might just kind of avoid talking about the narrative of the film because there's so many fun things to talk about with that movie. But you can catch that and check us on Fade to Chat. Next time, with our next episode, it will be The Wizard of Oz from 1939. Cindy, thanks for doing this again. Thanks for coming back, having a great vacation. We took a week off.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I did.
I'm now in the thick of it with school starting today. I've got 2 classes I'm teaching, 2 3-hour classes I'm teaching today. So I've got to get my work together for that and back to the work and away from the fun stuff like this. Thanks for joining us on Fade to Chat, the Golden Age Cinema. You can subscribe to us on YouTube at youtube.com/@Fade to Chat. That's our channel where you can pick up this episode and previous episodes. Also, look for One Scene from the camera to the couch. And that is a 10-minute short that I do talking about the mental health aspects of the movies that we look at. So if you're into mental health issues and you like cinema, this would be a good crossover for you. I'm going to be talking about The Thin Man, and in particular, the relationship between Nick and Nora Charles. So look for that coming out later this week, because after all, it is the first day of classes. So I'm not going to be able to cut it today. And join us on that podcast. There'll be a nice kind of symbiosis between this and One Scene. Contact us at the podtalknetwork@gmail.com. We forgot to mention Brian, who did like The Thin Man. Thought there was a lot of drinking in it, if I remember that email correctly. Yeah, well.
It was.
So it goes. And it's also the time. It's, the time with surrounding where people couldn't drink.
Right, prohibition.
So it made it prohibition. It made it more appealing to kind of violate that. So join us next time and keep the projectors rolling.